the movement's about to get co-opted. The movement's about to get taken over. Because now here come the Democrats. Because they realize that these crackdowns are making Joe Biden look bad. Now, the thing is, as we have said, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, the whole Congressional Progressive Caucus, anyone that's been carrying water for the Democratic establishment or the Justice Democrats or Brand New Congress or Our Revolution or DSA, they've been lying to you. And what I've been saying on this show, and I want to be proven wrong. I talked this over with Larry Sharp already earlier on today's show. I want to be proven wrong on this. But it's being made very clear that the leadership from the Democratic establishment, most notably members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, are now showing up at the protests. And I want to be wrong. I totally want to be wrong about this. Now, I pulled this tweet up before, but I think it's only important because Bernie Sanders also has a harsh message for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I know. Brace yourself for this one, folks. Brace yourself for the madness and stupidity that we shall see. I really wish anti-war protesters would stop letting these genocide enablers near our spaces until they condemn and unendorse genocide Joe Biden. They are using you as campus props. I really wish people understood we don't need these sellouts to legitimize our movements. No, you don't. So here's Ilhan Omar. Now, look, obviously, she's a politician, and she's going to go ahead and go where the voting base is at. But to uncommitted voters, to these protesters, if you think that the Congressional Progressive Caucus are your friends, just remember they're all in favor with the Democratic establishment, as are all their adjacent organizations that prompt them up.
To tell Palestinians that it's not worth it to resist against the occupation, and to kind of create those kind of Palestinian subjects that does not dare to resist.
Thank you so much for coming.
And I say that this is the purpose of the Holocaust.
Now, all this sounds good, right? All this sounds great. But it gets crazier when you have Bernie Sanders gets involved now. Mr. Netanyahu, anti-Semitism is vile and disgusting form of bigotry that has done unspeakable harm to millions. Do not insult the intelligence of the American people by attempting to distract us from the immoral and illegal war policies of your extremist and racist government. Will Bernie Sanders say the word genocide? I'll let you decide. Bernie, what do you got to say? Hold on, let me rewind that. YouTube rewind time. Let's play this.
No, Mr. Netanyahu, it is not anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas to point out that in a little over 6 months, your extremist government has killed 34,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 78,000, 70% of whom are women and children. It is not anti-Semitic to point out that your bombing has completely destroyed more than 221,000 housing units in Gaza, leaving more than 1 million people homeless, almost half the population. It is not anti-Semitic to note that your government has obliterated Gaza's civilian infrastructure, electricity, water, and sewage. It is not anti-Semitic.
Well, I see Lawrence Johnson writes Bernie late again, but according to the Vote Blue, no matter who, better late than never, right? Oh, God. You're a little late, Bernie, but okay. Are you going to use the G word? If not, I got the thesaurus right here. I don't need Wikipedia. I got a book. Book.
To realize that your government has annihilated Gaza's healthcare system, knocking 26 hospitals out of service and killing more than 400 healthcare workers. It is not anti-Semitic to condemn your government's destruction of all of Gaza's 12 universities and 56 of its schools, with hundreds more damaged, leaving 625,000 students with no educational opportunities. It is not anti-Semitic to agree with virtually every humanitarian organization in saying that your government, in violation of American law, has unreasonably blocked humanitarian aid coming into Gaza, creating the conditions in which so many thousands of children face malnutrition and famine. Mr. Netanyahu, anti-Semitism is a vile and disgusting form of bigotry that has done unspeakable harm to many millions of people.
Now, please say the word genocide or something like that, Bernie, because look, in the thesaurus, killing, noun, killing, homicide, manslaughter, murder, assassination, bloodshed, oops, bloodletting, slaughter, carnage, butchery, decimation, annihilation. Oh, what's this word here? Genocide. Okay. You use this if you want.
But do not insult the intelligence of the American people by attempting to distract us from the immoral and illegal war policies of your extremist and racist government. Do not use anti-Semitism to deflect attention from the criminal indictment you are facing in the Israeli courts. It is not anti-Semitic to hold you accountable for your actions.
Vermont senator calls for indefinite ceasefire days after students shot. Now, this was 5 months ago. Vermont senator, okay, well, what Vermont senator is that? Oh, okay, not Bernie. This is an article 5 months ago. Senator Peter Welch called for an indefinite ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war, just days after 3 Palestinian students were shot in the state's most populous city, and as the end of the temporary pause in fighting draws near. Again, this article is 5 months old. Wasn't Bernie who called for it. The impact of the conflict in the Middle East has reverberated across the world. We've seen the effects here at home and in the form of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, Welch said in a statement Tuesday. In Chicago, a 6-year-old Muslim boy was murdered by his landlord. Anti-Semitism has spread across college campuses. No, it has not. And this weekend in my home state of Vermont, 3 Palestinian American students were senselessly shot by a stranger as they walked to a family gathering. His statement, the cycle of fear, imitation, and violence must end. 3 Palestinian men were shot in Burlington, Vermont, on Saturday night in an unprovoked attack. The city's mayor, Miro Rainenberger, announced the shooter pleaded not guilty to attempted murder. The students did not know the shooter, and the investigation is ongoing. Just so all of you know, I want to pull this up. If you, Bernie, you were the only member of the Vermont delegation to vote no on a permanent ceasefire 42,500 massacred Palestinians ago. You're complicit. You can't change that now. Who's going to hold you responsible? Senator Peter Welch calls for indefinite ceasefire in Gaza. Welch's declaration makes Senator Bernie Sanders the only member of the Vermont delegation to not call for a permanent ceasefire, to which I have to post up here again from this tweet that I read from Nick from RBN about how these sellouts come in here. I wrote, I was worried about this and brought this up on the show, on numerous shows, actually. Once these politicians are brought in any movement, it quickly becomes part of the DNC. Now, Nick, I want to be wrong about this, Nick. I really, really want to be wrong about this. Of course, Hard Lens Media was the perfect take. There you go. Now, I want to pull up this little tweet here as well. It's no wonder those senators, and by the way, again, Bernie, Ilhan, Omar, AOC, what are you guys going to do about, I don't know, when you have colleagues in your own party who are connected to AIPAC? Like, I know you're talking to these protesters and these activists, but at the end of the day, you're part of the Democratic establishment. It's either break away or stop lying to us. Here's what Bassem Youssef wrote, and I'll give him the final word on this one. It's no wonder these senators and congressmen and women are blatantly lying to us, smearing those college protests. You have a lobby working openly for a foreign country interest, bragging about buying candidates. How is this allowed? How is this okay? Every traitor in Congress that is being paid by this lobby is not working for the interest of the American voters. How many American citizens want their tax money paid to Israel? Those traitors approved $26 billion as aid to Israel. How's that A-okay? How traitors, one and all. And by the way, this is, look at this. Another great night for pro-Israeli Democrats. It's from March 19th, by the way. All 8 AIPAC endorsed Democrats won their primary election tonight. So far this cycle, all 40 AIPAC endorsed candidates have won their primary. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. Well, Bassem, we have a thing called Citizens United in the McCutcheon's decision. We invite you on the show, by the way. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about how our government has been bought and sold. But, Bernie Sanders, He's got some harsh words for Netanyahu. Ilhan Omar is out there standing in solidarity with the, quote unquote, activists and organizers, to which I must bring up again. Should we even trust these jagoff politicians to do the right thing? Because they won't. They're only there, and they're only speaking out now because they realize that Biden is losing voters. To the uncommitted, to the protesters, to these activists, these people who have been critical of Joe Biden, my question to you is, will you be consistent? Or are you going to fall for the trick? I've seen this trick happen before. I've seen this get played out before. Don't get tricked. Please don't get tricked, because I see you all easily getting tricked. It's not a fun thing to witness.